So the Fever do take down the Connecticut Sun, but the big news is that it looks like Caitlin Clark is injured.
So NBA Commissioner Adam Silver has addressed that report that some NBA owners are frustrated with the financials of the WNBA and the lack of return, especially as the league grows. And here's the thing, that initial report probably needs some context. I don't think it's surprising that the WNBA...
Adam Silver just transformed into the Hulk only this time. He's wearing a suit and carrying a press badge, with Caitlin Clark sidelined from the All-Star game due to a groin injury. What was supposed to be the WNBA's marquee event now feels more like a high school talent show. Silver isn't angry. He's disappointed, which somehow feels even worse. At one point, it almost sounded like he was threatening to cancel halftime or move the game to a local YMCA. Stay tuned because this meltdown might end up being more entertaining than the game itself.
Well, shit. We have some really disappointing WNBA injury update. Caitlin Clark is officially ruled out for all events of the All-Star Weekend. She did say, don't worry, she's still going to be at Gamebridge. She's still going to be around. She's still going to be making her appearances, signing for the fans, everything she can do to make this a great event. But unfortunately, that groin is still bothering her, and it's the right groin now. We saw her get injured the other night. It was the left groin previously. She did release a really nice statement about it, so I'll go ahead and show you. I'm so excited for Indy to host WNBA All-Star Weekend. I want to thank Indianapolis Host Committee and all the people that have put endless work over the past year to put this event together.
Caitlin Clark has been playing basketball for 20 years to full decades of squeaky sneakers, buzzer beaters, and making defenders question their career choices. She faced double teams in middle school, full court presses in high school, and defensive schemes in college complex enough to make NASA take notes. And through it all, she handled the pressure like a pro. But now, in the professional league, she's suddenly getting slammed like it's roller derby, while the referees sing, like legally blind interns running on a sugar crash.
There is some really scary, sad, I don't know, it might be earth-shattering to some news. It looks like Caitlin Clark did get injured again in her right groin this time. The previous groin injury was her left groin, and it is not looking good because groins are an injury that do take quite a while to actually fully heal. According to Jesse Moore, MD, he is a regenerative medicine doctor. He does specialize in sports, and this is what he said about Caitlin Clark's injury. Clark appears to have re-aggravated her right abductor groin strain.
For injuries in less than 2 seasons, not for bruises, but for real injuries. That's not a coincidence. That's a hit list. Caitlin Clark didn't enter the WNBA to warm welcomes and handshakes. She was met with elbows, body checks, and defensive tactics straight out of a WWE playbook. When you're the biggest draw since sliced bread and the main reason fans are filling seats, you also become the biggest target. Imagine training for 20 years, only to be treated like a potato by players who couldn't beat you even with a cheat code.
We've now seen, and we'll take a look, her brother called out the refs last night. We have watched Caitlin Clark get the ever-loving crap kicked out of her for, let me look it down here, looks like about 15 months now, 16 months. And they are about to find out, because I can only imagine how many people now won't tune in to the three-point contest, that won't tune in to the All-Star game.
And here's where the comedy turns to tragedy. The league's brain trust seems either asleep at the wheel or too busy crafting feel-good montages about unity and growth to notice that their biggest star is once again limping off the court. How does someone go from virtually indestructible to consistently injured in the span of a single rookie contract? Here's a clue. It's not random. This isn't a freak accident montage. It's open season on the one player who single-handedly dragging the league into relevance.
The WNBA players reveal under their warm-ups t-shirts a statement to the WNBA. Pay us what you owe us. Statement is being made. You got Caitlin Clark rocking the shirt. So obviously she is in full support. She's going full throttle with the players in these CBA negotiations, trying to get more money, more benefits, etc. This is interesting, guys.
And yet, every time Caitlin Clark gets clobbered, someone inevitably drags Angel Reese's name into the conversation like it's mandatory. Is there a quota, a memo, or some invisible teleprompter prompting? Now mention Reese so no one notices. Caitlin's being assaulted. It's baffling. Caitlin could sprain her ankle tripping over a water bottle, and somehow it would circle back to a Reese highlight reel. It's like WNBA commentary has a Reese turret setting. Clark gets her talk about Reese. Clark scores 30, cut to Reese on the bench. Is this basketball or a bizarre rom-com rivalry where the plot is fictional, but the injuries are very real? Meanwhile, Adam Silver sits courtside looking like he just realized he bought tickets to a demolition derby instead of a basketball game. He's not just frustrated, he's cycling through the 5 stages of grief, because deep down, he knows. He knows the WNBA wasn't built for a player like Caitlin. It wasn't ready. The league is used to clunky offenses, 60-point games, and referees who call fouls with the energy of someone checking expiration dates. Then comes Clarkson, fast, a total crowd magnet, and suddenly, all of the league's flaws are under a microscope. And under that microscope, carnage.
The effect it has had on the ticket price, the price of the ticket has dropped over 50%. Basically today in Indiana, if you'd like to go to the All-Star game, it's only cost you $64. Caitlin Clark can stop a supply chain all by herself. The projection of revenue, the 26% of the revenue that's generated by Caitlin Clark in the state of Indiana. Now, all of the goods and services.
What's happening isn't basketball, it's slow motion self-sabotage. Soundtracked by whistles that come 3 seconds too late if they come at all. The referees might as well be betting on the games, given how little they seem to care. Opponents are playing bumper cars out there, hip checks, shoulder smashes. Flying for arms, it's starting to look more like open gym at Rikers than a professional league. Caitlin Clark isn't just being defended, she's being mugged wild. The WNBA seems allergic to admitting there's a serious problem. Newsflash, when your top player is being hunted on national television, and you write it off as competitive spirit, you're not building the league, you're burning it from the inside out. Caitlin didn't suffer for injuries because she's fragile. She suffered for injuries because she's a magnet for envy, aggression, and outdated officiating, and no one's doing a thing about it.
You know, I don't want to make too big an issue about one particular player, one particular call, but I think the burgeoning rivalries in professional basketball, you see rivalries obviously among clubs, but also among individual players too.
And let's not pretend this is just a string of isolated incidents. This is systematic. You don't rack up this many injuries in such a short span due to bad luck. You rack them up when you're being fouled harder than anyone else in the league, and the people in charge keep swallowing the whistle like it's dessert. The game isn't failing Caitlin Clark, it's sabotaging her. And no amount of glossy marketing campaigns will fix that. But here's the kicker. Every time the conversation starts leaning toward the truth, that Caitlin is being targeted and the league is letting it happen somewhere, inevitably raises their hand and says, but Angel Reese, as if that's a counter-argument, as if we can't possibly talk about Clark getting hacked without first updating Reese's stat line. What's next blaming Clark's groin injury on Reese's lashes? The obsession is borderline delusional. Caitlin could be out for a month, and the narrative would still twist itself into a pretzel trying to spin it as a story about growth, rivalries, or how other players are just as important. Here's a reality check. Nobody buys tickets to watch a bench full of just as important. They're showing up because Caitlin Clark is a once-in-a-generation talent and being treated like she borrowed the spotlight instead of owning it.
Caitlin Clark has received a lot of heat from the players. So this actually says a lot about her, the fact that she's still willing to stand with these players and try to help get what they want. The players do want more money, and I would like to see everybody get paid. I'm never going to be someone to hate on somebody, getting their bread. So I'm not against the players getting paid more. They're taking a stand. This is going to be interesting, man. I was on the fence about how involved Caitlin would be. I know as far as I felt like she kind of should have been hands off, but just because of all of the negativity that, bro, you got to understand, from the refs to Kathy to the players who they've called all of her fans racist.
The real story isn't the injury, it's the culture. A league where petty egos, reckless fouls, and silent whistles are somehow more tolerated than simply acknowledging that one player is the engine driving the entire machine. And that machine looks completely broken when that engine is limping into the locker room again. So go ahead, keep pretending this is normal. Keep calling it toughness and grit. Keep steering the conversation into weird detours about rivalries and learning curves. But while the league tries to keep up appearances, the fans aren't blind. They see what's happening. They know the difference between hard-nosed defense and cheap shots dressed up as efforts. They know who's elevating the game and who's doing everything possible to drag it down. Eventually, the league will have to answer for it, not just to Caitlin Clark, but to every fan who bought a ticket, tuned in, or dared to believe that. Maybe, just maybe, women's basketball had finally turned a corner. But it turns out that corner was a trap. And right now, it's Caitlin Clark paying the price while the league pretends it's all just part of the game. And Christy Hedgepeth, the woman supposedly steering this ship, is quite possibly the worst. Communicator this side of a dial-up modem. If leadership were a basketball game, she'd be dribbling the ball off her own foot while yelling, "We're growing the game," into a paper cup connected to nothing.
I'm incredibly sad and disappointed I can't participate in the three-point contest or the All-Star game. I have to rest my body. I will still be at Gainbridge Fieldhouse for all the action. I'm looking forward to helping Sandy coach our team to a win, and she will. Can't wait to see you all out there. So obviously this is disappointing. However, she's absolutely correct. She has to rest her body. This one game, this one event, even though it is a big event, is so small over the course of her career. And what this injury, like if she re-injures it or further strains it, or heaven forbid it's like a tear or something, she just has to rest. Her first goal is to win a WNBA championship, and she can't do that if she re-injures it or further injures it here.
The league's biggest star just got kneed in the groin again, and Christy Hedgepeth, or Angbar, as some are now calling her, is somewhere hosting a growth and grit seminar, completely unfazed, as if this is all part of some grand initiation ritual. Spoiler alert, it's not. This isn't a welcome to the league moment, it's a lawsuit waiting to happen, with a side of career damage. Caitlin Clark didn't aggravate her groin injury by overtraining or stretching wrong. She didn't tweak it tying her shoes. She was deliberately and directly kneed in an area that even hockey players would call a low blow. And guess what? The referees did absolutely nothing again. Because, apparently, targeting Caitlin Clark is the one WNBA tradition that never gets rebranded. At this point, she might as well wear a bull's eye and a kick me sign just to save everyone time. Let's be crystal clear. The league's silence on this isn't neutrality, it's negligence. Caitlin Clark is getting mauled on the court more often than a crash test dummy. And the league's response is to roll out yet another PR puff piece about diversity, hustle, and celebrating physicality. Physicality? This isn't physical, this is criminal, dressed in Nike gear. And Christy Hedgepeth, with her warm, fuzzy nothing statements, is acting like Caitlin just needs a protein shake and a pep talk. No, what Caitlin Clark needs is actual protection. She needs referees who can identify a foul when it happens 5 feet in front of them. She needs a commissioner who understands that popularity isn't an open invitation to be assaulted every other game. She needs anyone, authority to treat her like a professional athlete. not April Potter at a league-sponsored birthday party.